Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be my December TBR. Today I want to talk about all the books that I want to read during the month of December. It's already the 3rd of December and I've already read 3 books and I started 6 more because I'm reading Advent books that have like 24 chapters. 1 chapter for each day until Christmas. But if you've seen my TBR for November and also my end of the year TBR tag, then you know there were a lot of books on there. And of course I have not finished or even started all of them. So I didn't really want to put up a huge TBR again just to feel the pressure of reading all those books. So I decided to have 5 slots for December that I wanted to fill with books that I want to mention right now, because of course there are all of these Christmas holiday romance titles that I hope to get to this month, because who wants to read Christmas books in January? I mean, of course, probably there are people out there that read Christmas stories all year round. I'm not one of them. So a lot of these are gonna get pushed back to next year, but that's okay. We love to have a lot of books to choose from. So I don't want to go through all of those. Right now I just wanted to mention 5 books that are very like wintry and very on my radar right now, and just go back and watch my TBR for November to know what else I'm reading, because most of the fantasy titles on there are still on my TBR, because last weeks I've only been reading like thrillers and middle grade and not fantasy, at least not high fantasy. So yeah, a lot of those books are still on my TBR, as well as books that I started the last couple of months or like even this last year that I've been meaning to get to. I don't really DNF books. I put them down and then never pick them up again, but I don't DNF. So I'm hoping to get to some of these just to close off the year right. So all of those are still on my radar. I have all my lists that I hope to check off, but right now I want to talk to you about 5 titles that I've been meaning to get to for some time. Like I said, I don't want to talk about all the Christmas holiday novels out there, but I want to mention 3 that are on my high priority list and that I'm meaning to get to over the next maybe week, because today is the 3rd, and starting on Monday there are 2 readathons that I want to take part in. The first one is starting on Monday and it goes until Sunday, and it's hosted by Steph from Steph Loves, and it's called the Festive Readathon. And like the title says, it's for you to read all the holiday novels that you want, and there are prompts. I'm not gonna go into it because basically I'm just gonna put one book on there that basically works for all the prompts, and then I'm gonna see what else I'm gonna get to this week. And then starting on I think Thursday, there's the Merry and Bright readathon. Let me just check that. And this is hosted by Zoe Delaney and a couple of other booktubers. I'm gonna list all of their channels down below if you want to check them out, and their announcement videos. Steph and Zoe are both booktubers that I really adore. I love their channels, I love their vibes, so I really wanted to take part in their readathons. And like I said, I'm not gonna go into the prompts. If you want to check that out, please follow me on Instagram. I'm gonna post in my stories about all the books that I'm planning to read, but I want to talk to you about the 3 books that make up my TBR for these 2 readathons, and whatever else I'm gonna get to next week that would be icing on the cake. So the first one, and I think the one that probably ticks off all the boxes for both readathons, is The Holiday Switch by Tiff Marcello. This is a new release. This came out this year, and this takes place over the winter holidays, and the protagonist Lila is really happy that she's gonna work in this inn, and she's just ready to go and have a great winter break. But of course there's gonna be drama because the boss's nephew Teddy is also there and they don't really get along, so it's an enemies to lovers romance. Lila is the type A, very organized character, and Teddy is kind of winging it, and I'm gonna enjoy all the banter between them. And this is a very short novel. It looks very cute. I love this cover. It just hooked me right away, and I'm happy to get to this very soon, next week. The next book I want to talk to you about I only have as an e-arc. It is out already, so if this sounds like something that you might enjoy, go check it out. And that's You Can Go Your Own Way by Eric Smith. This is again an enemies to lovers romance between two teenagers whose families are at odds with each other because Adam, his family or his dad, has an arcade. It's very like antique. Nobody seems to go there anymore, and this is basically the only thing he has left of his father, so he's very attached to it. And in comes the family of Whitney, and her family wants to take over this arcade and turn it into something else, and then they get snowed in together, and the rest is history. This sounds really cute. I'm hoping this gives me all the winter vibes because it hasn't really snowed here where I live, and I need some snow in my life. So if it's only literary snow, that's fine. And the last winter romance type book I want to talk to you about is Together at Midnight by Jennifer Castle. The other two books that I mentioned already are new releases. This one came out a couple of years ago, and it has been on my TBR at least for 2 years, if not longer. I've heard great things about this. This takes place, I think, over New Year's, and the protagonists meet each other and they decide to do little random acts of kindness during this night and until I think midnight on New Year's. It sounds really cute. Like I said, I've been meaning to read this for the last 2 years. I need to prioritize this. Say it with me. Prioritize. Looking at these 3 books, it seems like I'm going very YA this holiday season. Like I said, there are more romance titles that I'm hoping to get to, but there's just something about these 3 titles that have been calling to me, and I can't wait to get to them. So those are 3 of the 5 slots filled. The other 2 books that I want to mention right now are YA fantasy, so I'm guessing this is gonna be a very YA heavy month, but that's fine. I haven't really been reading a lot of YA lately, and maybe these are just some gems that I want to get to, and who knows, maybe these will be favorites of the year. I have high hopes for them anyway. So the first one is again something that has been on my radar for a very long time, not only this book but this author in general, and that is Nadine Brandes and her novel Romanov. This is, like the title may have clued you in, a retelling of the tale of Anastasia, which is one of my most loved retellings of all time. I really enjoy the animated movie Anastasia, even though I know it takes a lot of liberties with the real story of Anastasia, but I'm just a sucker for it. So this has been on my radar for a very long time. This is a magical retelling of the story, and in this magical retelling, Anastasia has to smuggle a spell in a suitcase. That's what the premise says, in order to save her family. So I'm very intrigued to see what the author did with the whole myth of Anastasia and of her surviving the fate of her family. So that's my 4th slot filled. And the last book that I want to mention today is, again, like I said, a very wintry novel. It has been on my TBR since this year, so it is fairly new on my shelves, and that is The Bright and the Pale by Jessica Rubinkowski. I hope I pronounced that right. And this is actually also inspired by Russian folklore, so I have a theme going on there. The only thing that I know about this is that there's a mountain that cursed a whole village and everyone is basically frozen. And the only survivor is 17-year-old Valeria, and she's trying to save her family and just survive until one day her best friend is supposedly murdered, and a year later she finds out that he's actually alive and kept hidden, or kept as a prisoner, and then she goes and tries to save him, and it seems to have to do with the curse and whatever slumbers in this mountain. There's also the Tsar that is trying to kill everyone that survived, like this curse of the mountain. I love it already. It sounds intriguing, and the second book is coming out soon, I want to say. So I really want to get to this. I also have the audiobook on Script, so I might also again listen to the audiobook while I read this. The same goes for Romanov. I'm very happy to have narrowed down my TBR for December to these 5 books. Next week I'm probably gonna concentrate on the romance titles, and maybe this weekend or later on in the month I'm gonna go all fantasy. Let me know down in the comments what books you are planning to read this month. Are you going all in with Christmas and romance and wintry books, or do you just keep to your genre and it doesn't really have to be seasonal? If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to, and click the notification bell if you want to get notified whenever I post another video. And until next time, I hope you read all the great reads. Bye!